Hi guys! One of the most interesting requests we recently received was to create and 3D print soap molds. I started researching and was quite surprised to learn how big the soap making industry really is. It's ranging from hobbyists and professionals. I found a separate soap making forum, marketplaces, and countless bloggers, all dedicated to this unique art. One of the biggest and most difficult processes in soap making is creating the patterns, and so one that masters this art can make a lot of money selling custom molds. At SelfCAD, we try helping our users make money from 3D modeling and 3D printing. So we accepted this challenge, and wow, this was so much fun and we got really great results. So if you are a soap lover or like to profit by selling 3D printed molds to soap makers, this video is definitely for you. It's a good design thinking practice to start with the big and easy parts first. So we will start by creating a cube. We need to create a custom cube, so we will use the cube generator and we set the width to 50, height to 40 and length to 70. Now that we have the base ready, let's move it a little to the left so it won't disturb us. We are moving on to create the mold patterns. We are doing it using SelfCAD's amazing Imagery 3D tools, and for this I will use computer-related images. Click on the Imagery 3D tool, then click to select an image. We choose a headphone image with a SelfCAD logo included. You can obviously make your own logos and images. To make it perfect, we use the following settings: resolution 250, tolerance 1, amount -15, this is the extrusion amount, and blur to 3. We also switch on anti-aliasing to make the object look smoother. Depending on the image type and quality you are using, you may need to use different settings from what we used. Now that we have the first 3D image ready, we will scale it to fit our object's length of 70, while proportionately rescale the other two sides as well. We are doing so by using the Keep Proportion option, and we set the x-axis to 70. Our soap mold design requires 4 different patterns, so to work in an order, we will first create the remaining 3 shapes before moving on to the next step. Now that we have the building blocks ready, we can start the assembly process. First, let's align them with the same orientation. Select all the image objects and rotate them by 90 degrees on the x-axis, then select and rotate the cube object by 90 degrees on the y-axis. Now let's create 3 more cubes so we can combine each image object with a cube object. I'm using the copy offset tool to make the copies, and I'm then using the move tool to center the objects, but you can also use shift plus drag to copy and position the new objects. Now we need to align the 8 objects into 4 sets. Open the Align tool and choose one of the image objects and choose a cube object as a reference. And select the top center reference settings. Then we need to solidify the combined objects. For this, use the Stitch and Scoop Union tool and repeat the same process for all objects. Then to better visualize how to make the next steps, move and position the combined objects into a group and scale it up a bit. Now let's create the base for the mold. For this we create another cube with 53.6 as width, 21.6 as height, and 73.6 as length, and rotate it by 90 degrees on the y-axis. Now let's select and rotate the 4 image objects by 180 degrees on the y-axis to make it face the base, so that we can use it to cut out the patterns from the base and create the mold pan. Now let's move up the image objects by 5 on the y-axis, so that when we cut out the patterns, we get a pan thickness of 5. Finally, let's align the base with the objects. This time, I'm not using the Align tool, but rather simply centering the objects. For the base, I'm using the center option, in the Move tool, and I'm manually positioning the image objects to 0 on its X and Z axes so that we keep the Y axis elevated by 5. Now let's position the combined objects the way they will need to be in the mold. For this, I am moving one object to 40 on the Y axis and to 30 on the Z axis. The second one, the same Z axis, but to -40 on the X axis. The third object I set 40 on the X axis and -30 on the Z axis. And the fourth one to 40 on X axis and -30 on the Z axis. This gives us a distance between each mold pattern of 6.4 millimeters. Now let's create the mold pan base. For this, create another cube and set the height to 2.5, width to 165 and length to 125. Then move it up on the Y-axis to 21.5. You can switch off the Hide All Objects option to better see how to size them. Now let's make a pan rim. For this, select the top view and switch to orthographic projection mode, and open the freehand drawing tools. Then set the minimum precision step size to 5 and select the rectangular brush. You can enter the exact measurements, but I'm just eyeballing it first, and I will later resize it, so just follow my drawing. Let's first draw the outer shape, and then, to make the hole, switch to the erase mode and draw a smaller inner box, and set the height to 7 and click Apply to finalize the shape. Now to position it on the pan, we move it up to 21.5 on the Y-axis. Now I will use the Round Object tool to round the rim, but to make it work as expected, let's first add details using the Resolution tool and set it to 4. Then use the Round Object tool and set it to 4 as well. Then let's move and scale it a bit to make it look better. Now select the rim and click on Inverse Selection. This is a fast way to select all objects except for one. Now to create the final mold, let's cut out the objects from the base, and for this we use again Stitch and Scoop, but this time we use the Difference tool, and select in the drop down the 4 image objects to cut out from the base. Finally, to prepare the molds for 3D printing, merge all objects with the Merge tool and solidify them into one with the Magic Fix tool, with a tolerance of 250. This time I'm using the Merge and Magic Fix technique, not the Stitch and Scoop Union tool, because it's a good practice to use the Magic Fix as a final step before printing to make sure the objects are printable. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and see you next time. Bye!